Where am I?
We're live.
Where are you?
So,
I gotta set this. I don't need that anymore. Cool. Hangouts. Okay. Well, I could start. You know, this is kind of weird to me because I could start a Google Hangout, but I couldn't do it through YouTube. It's just weird. I don't know why.
It's Google Hangout. Also, Google Hangout on air. The Google Hangout on air can only be done through YouTube. You can stream it live from through your Gmail address.
Yeah, but you can't record it though from there.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Can you?
Right now, we're good.
I'm recording.
Yeah,
already.
I don't know. I know. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Is there any volunteers for the opening prayer?
I can say it.
All right.
Okay.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we are grateful for the blessings which Thou hast given us, and we are grateful for the opportunity that we have to be able to go to school through BYU Idaho and to be able to do it online so that we can make it work around our schedules. We are grateful for the time that we have to be able to spend together and to learn the things that Thou would have us learn and to be able to understand how to be better business leaders and to be able to help those around us and those that we work with. We ask that Thou will please bless us that as we discuss today that we will be able to understand one another, to share with one another, and to help one another. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Michelle. So to start this off, we're going to go to questions. I guess I could share this with you. Why don't I go ahead and do that? I'm going to share my screen.
Okay.
And you're going to see yourself there, Michelle.
Woo!
Yeah, but here's some of the questions on the agenda. And this is group lead stuff. And we can kind of go through these real quick, and then we'll start discussing. I've got, I did request everybody's little write-up on it. Bob's. I will go for him. And, well, that's all right. You're here, so that's fine. And I've got Jace's. He's not here too, but I've got his write-up. So I'll kind of argue for his side and their side since they're not here. And then Aurora's. And I kind of got a list of what everybody decided. So, Michelle, could you tell me what you kind of concluded? So I have that. I'll just write that down real quick. What you conclude up before we start off with anything. I want to know what you kind of figured out on your own.
So what my conclusion was as to what should have been done, or who?
Who would you have hired? Just give me the two people or the one person you would have hired or stayed with, or what would you recommend? What were your recommendation? What's your recommendation?
My recommendation was Sonia, or however you say her name. The one from the outside firm. I felt that she was capable and not, I mean, she was already almost to a star level and not even in a good background or a good firm that could really trying to share her assistant or her junior analyst and the assistant with several other people. I think also she was able, even though she was not as willing to travel as others, she had certainly made all of her customers very happy with the way that she was doing things. So I felt that she was able to juggle things. And then the final...
Hold on a second, Michelle. We're not arguing this. Just tell me what your recommendation is, not why. So Sonia, what about Rena? Is she going to stay or be an analyst or just work under Sonia? What did you decide with her?
I felt that Stephen should have, first of all, been honest in the beginning and told her that she wasn't getting the position. But because he already kind of did whatever he did, I think that he needed to be honest with her at this point and say, you know, we are going another direction. And then, I mean, if I was...
So you're going to have Sonia as a top analyst, but they have their junior analyst, you know, too. Right. Would Rita stay as a junior analyst is what you're saying then, or?
Yes.
So Rena would be the junior?
Yes.
Junior analyst. Okay. And what about the other guys? You just kind of dismissed them, or you said don't?
Yes. Yeah.
Don't hire them. Okay.
I didn't.
Good enough. because actually, I'm not going to say anything right now, but I've agreed a lot with what you said, as to why, but I just wanted to know what was there first, what kind of thing was going on. I'm going to go back to the screen. Well, I need to pull up two. Did anybody else join us? How come I got two of us? Okay, we're good. And Elvis, I've got you down for David and Seth. Fit. But I have a question too. What about Rena? Would she stay as a junior analyst, or what were you thinking on that? Can you hear me, Elvis?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, I lost you guys for a minute.
Yeah. I was asking you, what about Rena? I know what else you said for David and Seth. You think they'd be a good fit. Is she going to stay as a junior analyst? I didn't see that in your report.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it lately. I think she should be retained as a junior analyst. She would be a good asset because having worked under the previous analyst, I think she's gained some experience that will be valuable for the company. So, though I kind of favor that Seth should be given the job, but I think that the winner should be retained.
Okay. Good deal. All right, so I think we've got everybody. Well, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people now, so that I have. And let's go up. Am I still sharing with you guys my screen? I guess so. These questions. So we're going to discuss the pros and cons in great depth for all the candidates. Why? And oh, so that's what I'm supposed to share, the recruitment of a star salary information. Okay. So let's do that first. I've got to go back here. Let's stop the screen. And I'll. Hey, now?
Yes.
Okay, so you're seeing me.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and discuss this real quick, and I'll say what Jay said first. His recommendation was to get Peter back, and he was like, offer Rena a perfect position, probably as a junior analyst. And Jason brought up the point too that Steven wasn't not following the advice of Tom, and then Bob. Same thing, but Bob was different. I think Bob is probably because he works in an office, and he said that Rena should stay and be the top analyst. And then, in my view, I kind of went a different track than everybody else. Yeah, so I thought Sonia, like what Michelle was saying, I thought Sonia should be a top analyst. Hire, not Gerald, but David. So Elvis was saying David and Seth would be a good fit, and Rena is a junior analyst. And I thought the same thing, but I was going to hire David and Sonia because of different reasons. But I thought they would be good analysts. But maybe we should talk about Bob was thinking maybe first, and why would you guys not have Rena stay as a top analyst? How come yours is different?
Well, first of all, unfortunately, the management and the sales team did not fully buy into her. So I think if you don't have a team that's willing to support you, then it causes other additional issues.
All right, and Elvis, what about, how come you didn't put Rena as a top analyst?
Mine was trust, because you could see from the team that they didn't really want her. So I felt that hiring her, they will not be happy to work with her because they don't trust her ability. So having such a person on the team.
And that was exactly my reasoning too. I think Bob's kind of thinking, it's like, well, she's in the company. She knows the culture. She has everything there. And I think she's good. You got to retain her. I agree with that. But the same thing, I think Rena was just not enough experience. She's not ranked. And part of the whole purpose of being ranked in this company is just as a status symbol. I mean, that's how you get the clients. That's how you get people there. Rena was just hard, and I don't know. I can see where Bob's coming from. I think because he's an office guy, he thinks that you should be promoted and go along. But yeah, I agree. She's just not experienced enough. Some people did bring up.
Just in my experience, I work at a credit union, and as I've stated, the issues that we're having at my job, that same thing happened. We had a girl that we hired, and now all of a sudden she's our supervisor, and she's been in the department less time than any of the rest of us, but because of whatever my manager thinks she sees in her, is dissension among the ranks because she's trying to pull I'm the supervisor card, and everybody's like, but you don't know your stuff. You don't even know what you're talking about. You don't even know how you're handling things. And you're trying to throw your weight around here like you're somebody, and nobody will trust her. Nobody goes to her to ask questions. And when they do, because it's something that she really does know about, then she'll only give you bits and pieces. And then they're left with additional questions that she's not willing to share the rest of the answer or the full story about. So I think that sometimes if the people that you're working with don't trust you, it causes more problems than saying, well, I'm promoting you anyway because you deserve it, or you're the next person in line, or whatever.
So this is, in her case, it's a competence, and I think it's the same thing in Rena. She's not quite competent enough to take that position, and you should hire outside. Anything else, Elvis, on Rena? Has that been discussed enough for you? Or?
I agree with what Michelle said. I was thinking along the same line too. Because if people they don't trust you, then you're not going to have the support, and you're not going to be confident enough to do what you ought to do.
And I think in Rena's case, or Michelle is saying, it's not so much a value part of the trust; it's the competence. Like, are they competent enough? And as it clearly stated, she's not the star. So, moving on, let's talk about. I want to know why you guys did not pick Gerald, and nobody picked Gerald. In fact, Gerald was never picked by anybody. And what's your thoughts on that? How come? He's. How come nobody picked Gerald?
What? It's like I get him confused at which one was which.
Gerald was the one I thought was kind of. I want to say a smart egg, basically. He's the one that fired his own employee in front of everybody, like his own assistant. They have assistants, and he fired them. And that was my view. David's the vet. I always called David the vet because he's really old and experienced. But Gerald is the younger guy. He just he's ranked.
He's full of himself.
Full of himself. That's kind of what I got. What about you, Elvis? What'd you?
Yeah, I think he's full of himself because you can't just stand up and fire your assistant in presence of everybody. I don't think he's matured enough to handle the position because in a workplace, sometimes certain issues are bound to arise. A good leader should know how to manage such situations well. So he's too, in my opinion, proud and full of himself. And if issues arises in the department, I don't think he'll be able to handle them well. And he's going to lose the confidence of his colleagues, which will eventually cause problems for the company. So that's why I didn't even consider him for the job.
When he went, oh, sorry, he went straight into the interview saying, basically, why he asked him why he was leaving and stuff, and he just started rattling off all these silly things almost. About the copier, and about the not enough people, and things that's like, really, that's your big issue, and that's why you're leaving.
The temperature's not at 75 degrees. I don't like the view from my window. That was, I think it's kind of the gist I got from everybody else that submitted their papers. They put that as a problem. Jason, Bob, and everybody else, they said the same thing about Gerald. Like, look, this guy's a joke. But he's ranked. He's very competent. And as a status symbol, he should have been considered, as their business. for Steven to consider. But you know, at the same time, it's very team oriented. That's kind of my point, is that the values of the company would not have coincided with Gerald's management style. I mean, it would have been so much friction there, and I think everybody kind of saw that pretty quick with him. That some companies would have liked him, but I don't think it would have worked too well for RHS and go with that. So.
He also seemed like he was a job hopper. You know, he was the one that went to like three different places in 6 years. So it was like every other year he was going for a new position, and it kind of seemed like from what he was asking was that he was there to see where's my next move to make more money, to make more a bonus, a bigger bonus, a bigger this, instead of really caring about
and
the
I got
action.
that impression too, that he is all about him and he didn't really care about the company, you know. So it's kind of, you could see that. Green is junior analyst. I'm just writing down what we've discussed here. So we're gonna go on next to getting Peter back. That was kind of discussed by Jace quite a bit. He said, man, you should go back and just do everything you can, get him back on board. That's my view, but why would you guys not go back after Peter? I mean, what's the point of that? How come you didn't put that in your list? Go ahead, Michelle.
I think for me, I liked his point when he put it on the reading board. But I think once somebody leaves, it's hard to get him back. The mindset has already changed, so I don't think getting him back is probably a viable option. I think it's something that probably should have been done as soon as, because Steven had already heard from Tom, I think it was, that he was already considering leaving like 3 months ago. So at that point, I think that had Steven put forth a bit more effort into the relationship and into maybe increasing his salary, it said that he was making so much money for the company that they could have easily given him more money. So I think that it could have been a good option, but it's not. I don't think it's an option now. I think that's something that's kind of flown the coop and it's over and done with, and you got to move on.
Exactly. How about you, Elvis? How come you didn't go after Peter? Or did you?
He already made a mistake by letting him go. I don't think it was a wise decision letting him go, because he had all the time in the world to renegotiate the contract and probably making a better offer, because he was going to pay twice the amount he was currently receiving. So I think the moment he allowed him leave, it wasn't going to be a wise idea to go after him and get him back. He had about 3 months or so to discuss with him and then negotiate, and then try to convince him to stay, but he didn't do that. So as soon as an employee leaves the company, I don't think it's a good idea to go after him and bring him back. The right thing should have been to work with him while they were still in the company and try to ensure that you are able to make him an offer that would enable him stay. So I don't think I wouldn't go after him anymore. If I'm unable to convince him to stay, there's no need going after him to bring him back.
And Elvis brought up a good point, Michelle. What would you think about often? Sometimes people will leave a company and then they don't like the other job and they want to go back. Would you let him back? I mean, if he is gone for a month or so and then came back, I
wouldn't let him back, because I feel that he's not loyal. I mean, loyalty to me matters a lot. If he really loved the company, he should have stayed. And so the moment he stepped, it tells me he's not loyal to me. So I wouldn't want him back.
I'm back. You, Michelle?
In this case, I don't know that I would. In other cases, like at my job, I'll leave and come back quite often. In fact, I did. I left my company that I've worked for since 2000. I left to stay home with my kids, And then they needed somebody to come in and do the general ledgers. And so I was available, and they just were going to do it temporarily. But then they said, hey, this is really working out. Would you mind staying permanently as a part-time person? So, you know, I think there are times when people, and they called me, they came after me saying, hey, this person's going on maternity leave. Will you help us out?
Yeah.
But I think that in this case, he chose to go to another company. He chose to leave.
Yeah.
And, if, you know, maybe down the road he finds out it's not a good fit and they have an opening. Maybe I would hire him back at that point. But
Yeah.
not right off the bat, not that quickly. I would, because then it would be the jumping all around. I don't know.
That's awesome, Michelle. Elvis, is there? You know, Michelle's kind of like it's on a case by case basis, but with you, is kind of well, the loyalty thing? Is that like forever? I mean, if you had an employee that said, "Hey, I got a better opportunity somewhere else," and they go there and they find out it's not that, do they want to come back? Are you pretty strict with that, or is it just kind of?
Well, like I said,
I think it depends on the
cherish loyalty. Yeah.
I think it also depends on the person. Sorry, go ahead, Evans. Sorry.
All right. Okay. So, like I was saying, loyalty matters to me a lot. But like Michelle already pointed out, it depends on the circumstances that led to the person leaving. If, for example, the person was a very competent employee and then receives another offer, maybe a better offer from a different company, I would try all I can to renegotiate our agreement and try to see if I can make the person stay. But if after all the effort I've made to make the person stay and then he or she still decides to leave, well, I'll let her go. But if she wants to come back, it depends on whether we have somebody doing the job currently, somebody competent to do the job. If we're unable to find somebody else that can do it as much as that person did, but I would still be very skeptical because I wouldn't be sure if the person will be loyal to the company.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, because you're putting effort and time to train somebody else to get them set up to replace that person, and they're coming back. It's kind of like I understand that. I do. I think Jace be with us on that because he really wrote up that we should really hit Peter back and just do everything you can. But I agree with you guys. I think if somebody leaving, just let him go. I mean, you know, he was well paid. He was with the company for 15 years. I think he just wanted to change the scenery, and that's okay. I mean, but I wouldn't let him back either. So I think we'll just put that down as don't let him back, even if he wanted to. But Jace is going to disagree with that. It's like Jason's like, take it back, you know. So you know, on that part. Let's go ahead and talk about stuff, though. I mean, it's like, you know, what's your policy? You know, like the loyalty is a case by case. I think that's. Let's go to. We talked about Rena. We agreed that she's a top analyst. Let's talk about her just a little bit. Everybody was the same thing. It's like, don't put Rena or Bob. We should put Rena as the top analyst, you know. But we already discussed her because no, it's like he thought it was disrespectful that Steven would call to her and say, "Hey, fill in, stand in for this job. Or we find somebody else." But he said, "But you have the potential to be it. You could be the person for that." Kind of disagreed with that she was being disrespected because it's a very, I would just say competitive. This is my view. It's a very competitive industry. It's an opportunity to work as a top analyst for a little bit. But she wasn't ranked, and she knew that, and she wasn't what the company needed, and I think she knew that too. So I don't think it was too disrespectful to come back a few months later and say, "Hey, you did a great job. We're going to put you back down to a junior analyst." Superior guys go with that. What do you think, Michelle? I can tell you're about ready to say something.
My issue with that is and maybe he was kind of clear, maybe he wasn't so clear, but the second time when he went back to her, he still, my issue was I felt he was leading her on when he knew really at that point there was no way in any form that they were going to hire her because the management had already basically told him, you better find somebody else. And so to
Yeah.
me, my issue wasn't necessarily the first time, but was the second time. Still kind of said, well, if we don't find somebody else, then we'll
Yeah.
let you, you know, instead of saying,
Bob
we
Bob would agree with you on that, or he agrees with you on that. He said that was disrespectful and things. On that Elvis, Rena.
Yeah, I think they should have been honest with her from the very beginning. I mean, if he knew he wasn't going to give her the job, he should have just told her because the management already
Okay.
didn't want her in charge. So there was no point leaving her on wasting her time. I mean, I wouldn't be pleased if I was Rena. I wouldn't be happy with that.
And my thought, you know, for the both of you, my thought, you know, it's like it's a reasonable expectation too. Though it's like if I think, you know, it's like better than to really trust what Stephen was saying, like, oh, I'm going to be hired here eventually. Well, maybe eventually, but not right away. I don't think she thought that. In my view, I don't think she was disrespected at all, because she knew better. And yeah, like companies like where you guys work or where I work, it's like, yeah, you got to be more straightforward in things. But these guys knew that. I think she knew that she wasn't going to stay there forever. It just, but not a big deal on that. I don't think. I think she would stay with the company, especially if you hired good analysts that would be above it. I'm just gonna put like on Rena that Stephen was disrespectful to her in our group thing. Michelle, are you still here?
Yep.
I think we lost Elvis.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. He might come back. I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of interesting thought on that, though. I was kind of thinking on that. It's like, in my view, it's like because of the company culture and that industry, it's like, you know, he could tell her whatever he wanted to her, and Rena would know that he was meaning something different or something different else, you know. So, Elvis, are you back yet?
It's hard when you don't know exactly what really is happening, you know, because I mean,
Yeah.
even they don't really know the full story, I think. So
I understand that. I mean, if you're like promised the job and stuff, you know, it's kind of like, oh, we got someone there. There's Elvis. Are you still recording, Elvis?
Yes, I am. My network is not too strong, so but I'm still recording. Don't worry.
Oh, good deal. Thank you. Yeah, we lost you there for a little bit. So we're just gonna say that Stephen was disrespectful to her. I disagree with that, but that's the group thing. So, we're moving on. Let's so we got why you didn't put him as a top analyst. So we talked about Jason's putting Peter back and Rena in a permanent position. So Jason and Bob were both as kind of on the same page there. Let's talk about Seth. Oh, that next guy. We had a little different ones on there. Nobody mentioned Seth and Jason Bob. And put Seth up. And Elvis, you did though. You said you thought Seth would be a good fit.
he was my second. I thought he was a second person. If Sonia didn't do it, then he was my second.
Get Seth in there. And Elvis, why did you put Seth as a good fit? There, Elvis?
Well, I think yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I think Seth is a good fit because from his background, he seems to be loyal to whatever job, whatever company he's worked with so far. And the fact that he has a vast experience in networking and sales, I thought maybe taking the advantage over the rest of the candidates. And also, he's very dedicated to his work. So for me, basically, it's based on his track record, what he's done before, and the reputation he's built for himself in his past jobs, kind of made him stand out, in my opinion, among the rest. And he's also very experienced too.
And he's very personable. People like him. I mean, he's kind of like, he can talk. He can go talk, 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 and everybody likes talking to him, you know? So that's kind of their thing there. I don't know why Jason Bob really dismissed him too much. I didn't read that part of their document. But why I dismissed him, and I did this from the get-go, was the way he tried to get the job. And it wasn't, and you know, that the guy that Steven talked to say, hey, where are my candidates? He didn't mention Seth at all.
Right.
He wasn't going to him. And in my experience, it's been anytime I get somebody knocking on my door and saying, hey, I'll sell you this, or I want this, they screw you. I mean, you just regret doing it. Yeah, it's like it just, but if I'm like, well, I have my plan and I have my idea. It's like if I want to go to the store, it's like what I want to do. I'm happy with that, and I think it applies the same thing. Like when you're finding employees or anything else, it's like it's under my plan. It's like I'm going to go over there and find the people that I want. I'm not having them coming to me. And I think just that little principle there, it switches that around of people. Whether you're happy with it or whether you're not, it's just if you planned it and if you went out and got them versus having them come to you. I mean, it's just something I've always noticed. Like anytime somebody comes to me, it's like I'm under their influence, I'm under their plan, under my plan. I guess it's like I have my plan, which is different from theirs, and so it depends which direction you're going. And that's why I just dismissed them. I just like that's it. I'm not coming over. You know? And that was the only reason. I pointed out like industrial espionage, or you don't know the reason why this guy is like knocking on your door and saying, "Hey, I want your job." You know, I want a job there. It's like, so I was not very trustable. Comments on that, Elvis?
I can see what you're saying about that. That's true. Let's see, the water softener that I bought,
the Kirby vacuum cleaner,
the middle of the night infomercials.
Yeah,
it's all great and wonderful, and then you realize, oh, what did I do that for? I don't even use it.
Yeah. How about you, Elvis? Yeah, go ahead, Michelle. Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say that I do see from what you're saying too, at the same time, that he also had compiled that little packet or whatever of all his like testimonials or whatever, kind of almost making it go back to that infomercial type situation. But I did like that he had been with that company for quite a while. Was he the other one that had been there for a bit?
Yeah,
but that
he was there for quite a long time.
They didn't really see him as a star because of he had been there for so long or something, or had been a junior or something. He seemed like he was knowledgeable. He understood what, the industry, and he was on his way up. It was like he just needed a little help. So I think he was
getting
a middle of the ground.
That's right. I mean, he was a good candidate. I think he'd been good. Great. I just did not like his method. I like putting all these testimonials like how great of a wonderful person he is, and there's something else. Elvis, are you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
One other thing is too is like Seth. He's very people like him. But in my experience too is like I've known guys talkative. They can say a lot of words, but they're incompetent too. I don't know if that applied to Seth's case. It looked like Seth was ranked and getting close to being ranked. But my experience is like people that talk a lot and talk your ear off will not work. They won't work for you. I mean, they'll say whatever you want to hear, but they won't do what you want them to do. The guys that are quieter and a little bit more reserved, a lot of times, I have more confidence in as being my contractor or working with. But they're not the ones that are knocking on your door either. I mean, you're having to go out and find them. You know, and it goes back to my original thing is like you go out and find these people because they're the ones that you want. They're not knocking on your door. You're knocking on their door. My thinking with Seth, you know, how I apply that. But.
Yeah, that's true. I think I've had experience with a lot of such people in the past. Over here in Africa, in most places, people that do a lot of talking tend to do very little work. I don't know, but yeah, it's very common in this part of the world where people talk so much and then do very little. And so, personally, I've had to have issues with such people separately in my life.
So Elvis, that's everywhere. That's all over the world. I don't think it's just there. It's just like if they're just going to sit there and talk and not do anything all day, I mean, that's what they do.
At the time, I begin to think it was an African thing because people tend to talk so much and do very little. And yeah, but I mean, I also come across some very wonderful people who did a lot of talking and actually backed up their talk with a lot of work too. So, yeah. I don't know if the same applies to Seth, but he appears to be someone who does what he says, from what I read in the case. But from experience, a lot of people who talk too much don't even do half of the work.
Yeah. They won't lift a finger. They're like, but they can sure run their mouth. I mean, it's just like, come on, man. That's funny. That's so funny. So we thought of fits. I think this was agreed just with the three of us, Sonia and David and Sonia. Did you guys go with that? Jason and Bob didn't go with David and Sonia. They thought they were time, like Sonia didn't have enough time to work with kids, or you know, like David was just too old. Things of that nature, but the three of us agreed for I get David and Sonia on board. Why did you guys pick them? I think Michelle kind of explained Sonia. Let's start with David right now. Why would we go with David and Michelle? Why did you not go with David? Let's put it that way. So
I went with David.
David's the vet. He's the old guy. He's the older guy. Yeah.
For me, David's biggest strength is his experience. He has a lot of experience that I would give experience for. I would choose experience over youth anytime, any day, because people who done the same thing over and over again and they've achieved results over and over again tend to be an asset to any organization. So for me, David's experience is what stands him out. I think he's proven himself time and again. And so coming into this company, he's going to struggle. He's just going to go right into the job and then be able to just fit in and get things rolling as quick as possible. So if they're looking for somebody who's just going to step in and get things rolling and moving and working properly, I think David would be the best fit for that because of his vast experience. That's why I went for him.
Yeah. And what about you, Michelle? How come you didn't pick David as a over David on this in this case? What's your thinking on that? David the vet, the old guy.
Right. I don't know.
Michelle, are you a stay-at-home mom? Do you have kids? Is that why you're? It's not like, oh, I'll put this person in. And Bob's doing the same thing. Bob's like, well, I'm the office guy. I'll stay with the office and put Rena in, you know, kind of thing.
Well, I don't know. I don't know why I didn't pick him. I guess I just felt maybe, I don't know. I just felt that Sonia was a better fit. I think,
Uh,
I don't know. I don't know. I don't have anything in particular that I didn't like about him, but I just like Sonia better, I guess. I don't know.
yeah. I agree with David in a lot of ways in this case. I think it's better to have somebody that's experienced in the industry. You get young talent, like Seth or somebody else that's younger. But it's not like David doesn't know anything that Seth doesn't know, and he knows a whole lot more that Seth doesn't know. Using that example, that's kind of my thinking on that. So I would definitely hire David. I think Elvis would. Michelle probably wouldn't because I don't know, something psychological, something
Just because
Freudian.
I like Sonia better. That's all.
You just like Sonia better. That works. That's so funny. All right. Well, I'm gonna just put down that David is a good candidate. And it goes back to Sonia. Elvis, how come you would not hire Sonia? In this case, and Jason Bob wouldn't either. So what's your thinking on that, Elvis? I lost him. Here a second.
It's all about girl power. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not.
Seriously, Michelle, do you have kids? Is that why you're like, well, I'll take Sonia because she's taking the kids and she's working and she's successful? Or
I do have a son. I do have a son.
And you're working too, right?
And I work too, yes.
Yeah. So I think of that way. I think you relate better with Sonia. And you're like, yeah, we should put her as a top analyst. Honestly, though, having kids, having a high-stress job, do you think that's doable? Kids at the same time?
I think, she's already kind of doing the position. It's just at a different company that's much smaller. So I think
that's
she already.
Right. She's already figured it out, like how to handle the kids and do all the work at the same time.
Exactly.
Hi, Elvis. We were just talking about the fact that Michelle has kids and she's working at things, and how Sonia is doing the same thing. About it for everybody. I talked about everybody that was there. In my conclusion, I have David and Sonia. I don't know if the company will allow that. Sonia was good on the exports or on the global stocks. It was more domestic. And I thought maybe the company could hire them both as senior analysts and have Rena as the junior analyst under those two mentors, basically. Would have worked out really well for the company if they had two of them. I hired both, but they didn't say you could do that. You're supposed to only have one, but
but they did mention that Peter had been the only analyst, so it almost seemed like that was not something that they really wanted it to be, but that's just how it ended up. So maybe hiring
could have one as a global analyst and one as domestic, and have David as domestic. I think David's going to be getting old and retiring, but you can give him a good package for 2 years, and then have Rena trained under him. So he could, in 2 years, he can renegotiate the package, or he can leave and have Rena take over. That's kind of how I concluded to do that,
Right.
So I think we're kind of on the same page on that in some ways, but what do you think on that, Elvis, of hiring two different analysts, one for a global, one for a domestic?
I think in my conclusion, I said that my best two candidates were David and Seth. Seth, because of his age is younger, I thought that David would retire very early. So my take was that Seth should be given a job because he's younger. and so he will probably stay in the company for a longer time, and so stand they stand to benefit more from him because
And that's why he went with both of them as a good
Yes.
fit, because he could go either way. And, you know, I
Yes.
agree with that. It's kind of, you know, but I was thinking, boy, Sonia, she really impressed me, though. I mean, because she was already getting ranked up there above Seth. I think she was ranked above Seth
yeah,
at the time, raising 2 kids and not having any assistance, really, and just doing it all on her own, basically, which I think, and she's a very team, she's got the value, I think, that would fit well with RHS. I think if she had the assistance, a junior analyst under her, I think she could have been ranked number 1 or 2, you know, been the star, you know, if she had the support. All that by herself without that support, and it was just, and she's very successful. You know, I was just very impressed with that. So I was kind of like, well, I like David, dismissed for my own reasons, but Sonia I was really impressed with. It's like, I want her on board too. So, I don't know if she'd be a senior analyst, but maybe a junior one. I don't know. That's what we did. We're gonna pull up.
Hey, Bob.
Hey,
Hey, I got
welcome.
timing.
Good timing.
Well, we're glad you joined.
No, I'm glad to be here. I was thinking, I don't know, the time thing got me all screwed up.
Yeah. You know, we should just go on Zulu time.
Right.
That's all right, but I've been since you submitted your paper to me, I've been using your paper and analysis and arguing your point for you. So if you want to review what we've kind of discussed, we just got through all the different candidates. Go through our kind of conclusion. We figured out that Gerald was a star but no values, and we would not want him in the company. We would put Rena as a junior analyst. That Stephen was disrespectful to her by saying that she could keep her job as the senior analyst. And getting Peter back, we kind of went against that, even though I think it was Jace. We just figured that don't let him back, even if you wanted to, because of the loyalty issues and things. Seth, we decided was second place as our, you know, as a analysis, a junior or senior analysis. And David was a good candidate, but we're pretty impressed with Sonia. But they were kind of like the ones that we're wanting to hire, and Seth has a possibility too. So right now, though, we're going to go ahead, Bob. We're going to pull up the. I'm going to share you my screen here. You're going to see Michelle's face there right now, and let's see. Oh, where did it go? Here, oh, it's on this other. Wait a second. I have 2. How many pages did I get here? Page. That's why. Ah, here it is. I'll just click on it. You guys see that all right? That's their what they're getting paid on the packages.
Uh-huh.
And so you look at David, he's 5 times higher than anybody else than Rena. So it could put Rena as the bottom one. We got Sonia, Seth, Gerald, and David, and they all go up by a multiplication of 1. So Sonia is only 2 times, Seth is 3, Gerald is 4, and David's 5. Looking at this information, now we got our 3 top candidates, David, Seth, and Sonia. Which ones would you hire?
Well, you could definitely get Sonia for quite a bit cheaper and still get a lot of the benefits.
Yes, Michelle. yes, Michelle.
What's up with that? These women always get paid less than the men.
Yeah. She's more capable and successful. It's like, well, okay, that's cool. And you can pay her less. That's awesome. What do you think, Elvis? Looking at the sheet right now, I would still hire David. I know you put him up there, or would you just go with Seth? you picked.
We lost him for a moment. Are you
The,
back, Alex?
So Bob, you're here. What you picked? Rena should stay as a top analyst. I'm looking at this sheet now. Decision because she would hardly be paid anything. Is that correct? Or
I was less interested in what they got paid, because what you get paid is all relative, right? If you're someone that generates results, then the pay just kind of works itself out, right? So, for instance, if David is all that in a bag of chips,
yeah,
then he's, then the business will follow. The problem I have with David is that he's right out of the gates, he's talking about money. So for him, it seems that his interest is more about money than it is about anything else, which means that he is less likely to be a cultural fit because he's more about himself than he is about the culture that has been established by the organization. And the culture is that of teamwork and supporting each other. And that's why they have some of the least turnover. So you bring cancer, in a matter of speaking, if you look at David, and then
hold on a second. Talking on this, let me ask you another question on this. You get what you pick. You get what you get paid. What you pay for. Yep. Are you looking at it that way at all, or is it kind of you're just going with Rena? She's the cheapest, but I'm wondering. Get what you pay for. You're going to get cheaper analysts that just even rank there. Maybe I should ask you this too. Rena wasn't ranked. The whole point of getting these star recruitment, have a ranking, have that status with your company, the RHS. I think that's why we discussed this, that we decided not to go with Rena as a top analyst. That goes back to what you were saying though earlier. Is like you have a top analyst as Rena, ranked and very well, and she is cheap. Now looking at her salary package, she'd be a lot cheaper. But would that be good for the company? I don't mean to get on your case about that, but I mean, what's your thinking behind that?
Well, my thinking behind it is that every one of those candidates has reasons to fail. One of them is old, one of them is this, one of them is that, and we don't know. Every one of them is a crapshoot.
Yeah.
Or
Rena, it's somebody that's been with the company.
We know what we're getting with Rena, and we know that she's willing to bust her butt if she's been given the challenge. She's very respectful. Yeah. I believe with leadership, if the leadership were to come and make a statement to say, consistent with our values or standards, that we want to support our teammates in their success, if the team was willing to stand behind such a statement from the leaders, I bet you that the organization would be willing to do what's been consistent with the company, with the previous company's culture and values and standards to help the team to come together as a team to drive success of individuals. And then now you're making a statement to give everybody else in the organization the opportunity to strive to be the best they can be, because now they feel that they're with a company that promotes and encourages and trains and helps people truly succeed. And I didn't see anything in the article that suggested that she wasn't capable of being a star. And she was doing thorough work. She was doing good quality work. She just hadn't reached that level of success. She hadn't been placed in that opportunity for her to achieve that level of success until now. So now I think she just needs the support of her team to do it.
Support. And there's some of that we agree with as a group. We've discussed this before we got here. And some of that we agree with and some of that we disagree with. We figured that she would be good as a junior analyst and get more training. That we thought that everybody else kind of thought the same page, except we didn't think she's quite competent enough. For one, she's not ranked, but the keeper, like you said, keeper, their training is kind of what we concluded as a group. Like, we'll go ahead and bring in or Sonia and these other analysts, and have Rena as the junior analyst under him for a couple years, just for a little bit longer. We just she was quite ready to be the top analyst, even though she can stand in. She's been doing for the last few months. Kind of how we concluded it. It's like we think she needs more training or something else there, just not to have all that responsibility right now.
Does not necessarily, sometimes there's multiple answers that could work, right? You could go this strategy and that'll work, or you could go this strategy and that'll work. So, you may be right, because the article in and of itself doesn't really give the fullness of understanding where we, looking on the outside, could fully make that best case. But I think that Rena could be a solution that works. Just continue her in that path, because he obviously felt strongly enough to put her in that role, but he was also under duress to do so. He had to cover it, in Peter's absence. But I think that probably the other one, the one from California, and you put Rena with that one from California. Is her name Sheena? I'm trying to remember.
Sonia, she's really good. Yeah, she's one of our top candidates. We discussed that. We think Sonia should be involved with that.
So you take someone like Sonia, and then you take someone like Rena, who could maybe do some of the travel side.
Yeah.
Rena might be able to complement Sonia and do some of the traveling and maybe complement some of the limitations that Sonia might have. And he wasn't even thinking about money right out of the gate. He didn't even have a clue that people in her position made as much as they made.
Yeah.
So money wasn't even her first concern out of the gate. She was most interested in the fit and how it was going to help her progress and how she could benefit the company and all those other things. And all of the people that interviewed her felt that she is extremely knowledgeable about what she's talking about.
Yeah. However, she wasn't ranked. And, but I like that, though. So Michelle and I are on the same page as you on that, is that we get Sonia to come in. But Elvis and I think you're the only one that said that Rena should be the top analyst. But everybody else was kind of a little different. But it's similar kind of conclusion, though. It's like recommendations, like, get somebody else in there. You're saying to get Sonia. And that would have worked fine, too. I think we put David. I put David and Sonia. And then information was Jason was wanting to have Peter back. He was going to do everything to go get Peter back, to come back, which we figured wasn't very viable.
He already tried that. They already tried to get Peter back.
But all right. Well, wow. What about some insight, Bob? I think it'd be good if you post this if you want to go back and review some of the stuff we already talked about. Same page there. I don't know. Elvis, Michelle, you got any more comments with what Bob was saying there?
No.
All right. Kind of concluded that. Let me make sure we covered all the little questions they wanted us to go through.
I like to throw curveballs into the conversation.
You're pretty good at it, Bob.
Whisking in the number 1 or 2 list on that wilderness thing.
That's right.
I make it.
It's it's kind of funny. It depends on your background too. I've noticed this with you, Bob, and with Michelle. Michelle is saying, we should put Sonia as a top analyst. and I think it's because she had kids. She has kids and she works, and then you got Elvis is saying like, well, go with David. He's the older and everything. It's just kind of the culture thing there, maybe. Don't you work at like an office or something like that?
Yeah,
aren't you an office guy that you?
I work for a major corporation, Johnson Control.
For a major corporation, so you're more like the stay with the corporation kind of thing, like Rena's in our corporation and we'll keep her. And it's fascinating to me. So I hope you go back through and
I mean, we've had, I can't tell you how many roundtables, real live roundtables we've had over hiring decisions, why we should go with one person.
Cool. It is so hard. It is so hard to get a good employee. I mean, it's hard,
But I mean, the culture is absolutely critical, and having someone that's going to fit the culture of the organization, you have to guard that culture. You have to protect it, right? That's why when I see Dave, it's like, come on. I mean, I can't afford to have someone that can destroy the culture that we worked so hard to build. And
David's the vet. David's the old guy. Remember that. So he's not Gerald. We dismissed Gerald for that reason.
Oh, okay.
David the vet, he got along pretty okay. I think he'd do okay with the culture. I think that's what the paper said.
Yeah, David. I don't have the thing right in front of me, but David was.
Yeah, you're thinking of Gerald, and we all dismissed him too for that same reason. Gerald's like full of himself and just get out of here.
I mean, David's a possibility. I think I'm more intrigued by Sheena or whatever, because I feel that if someone that's highly talented, we can put them in a position where they could succeed in that role. We have to give people opportunities sometimes to shine. And she's shown excellence in everything she had done up to that point in her life. So I think there's a strong likelihood that she would be the star if she was given the opportunity. And now we're making a statement that people in situations where they could shine. And if she could do it, you could do it, you can do it, everybody can do it.
Yeah.
Develop a momentum around wanting to be better than what we are today.
And that's awesome. And for some reason, we're Kevin kind of figured, it didn't say we could do this in the paper, hiring both David and then putting Rena as the junior analyst under him. Well, it's kind of the thing. While I got you here, though, I have a question for you about Peter. I asked this question. It's like, Peter decided to come back later, and being a company guy, let him back in your company. If he left and you went somewhere else for a few months, and he's like, go back to my old company and the culture that was there and everything like that, would you let him in if you were? This is what we're gonna ask.
I would consider letting him back. I would certainly be open to a conversation, because I might feel a sense of responsibility for the fact that he left in the first place, because people don't leave organizations, they leave their leaders. So if someone leaves their leader, then usually there's a trust issue, or there is something that's something
in your own company. If you got an employee that's under you and he's somewhere else, they leave and then they want to come back later, would you let them do that? Or what would be your expectation or your policy for that?
It would be to hear them out and understand why they want to come back. A lot of times they left because they were frustrated with the leadership or with the direction. They were somehow frustrated. Maybe there was a lack of transparency in the changes that may have been going on with the company at the time. Lack of transparency sometimes is responsible for the company to not be transparent in certain things. But employees don't always understand that lack of transparency. They don't always understand it, so then they don't trust what's going on. And
it's both ways too.
Yeah.
They left because of money.
Yeah, they just left for money because I thought you'd make more money over here.
And if the only reason is money, then there's probably not a good chance I'm bringing it back. But if it's money and it's other things, it was trust, it was growth. Where am I going? I've been in this same role for 3 years. I don't see myself going anywhere. We haven't had any kind of conversation that shows a path that I might do something different in the company than what I'm doing now. Right? And a lot of times the companies miss that piece, and they don't have that path or that relationship with the employee. So that I interviewed, I had a direct report that I talked to, and we do what's called an IEP, which is individual development plan. So in this IDP, this sales rep that reports to me said that I want to be a service manager someday because I used to be a technician in the field, and I enjoy wearing the tools, and I think I could really bring value. And that caught me out of left field. I didn't see that coming. I never in my wildest dreams ever thought he would want to go into the operational side of the house, but yet he said, absolutely, that's something that I really enjoyed. I'd love to go back into service management and maybe manage technicians and whatever. So then we developed a path for him to start mentoring with other service managers and create experiences for him so that he could move in a direction that was more in line with where he felt he brought the most value. And now
he wanted to go.
Right? And we're having those conversations. So to my point, if an employee left and then they came back, I would reevaluate what was the conditions at the time that you left, and I would look in the mirror as to what I didn't do or where I may have failed as a leader to allow that person the opportunity to go and get a job elsewhere. And I would want to explore that further.
Bob, I'm glad that we got a late start, so you got here, so we could ask that for you. But it kind of worked out. But I kind of agree with that in a way. In my view too, it's like, hiring somebody. I don't care who it is, and if I got an employee, and if I see him stagnate, I'll fire their butt. It's like if they're not improving, if they're not getting better, if they're not looking, for better. It's like we actually had a guy come in on commission, and he was just the laziest turd. I mean, he seriously was so lazy. He would just sit there. He would make enough money, pay his bills. He wouldn't work. He worked 2 hours a day, and it's like he wasn't stealing from us. He's a great guy, and everything like that. But he was just lazy, stagnated, and we finally just said, "Look, you're gone. You're fired. Go get a full-time job that makes about the same to pay your bills, somewhere else that you have to work harder on, because you're stagnating." And it wasn't so much we could have kept him on, but we just looked at him as an employee. He's like, we're not going to train you. We're not going to improve your capabilities and make you more competent worth that effort. And so we'd fire him. And it's just like we'd fire him even though we were making money with him, but it was just like we could go ahead and fire him because we'd rather do that with somebody else. And now we got employees. I mean, these guys will go in there and work 12, 15-hour days, 3-day weekend off, but they're doing their work, they're getting everything done, and they're improving. And we want to see that as an employee. It's like we don't want somebody to stagnate. So that's just not going to work. But so I agree with you on that. Is, if they're doing something for their own good, not necessarily money, but for their own competency, I think is the word I'm looking for, to be more confident and to grow in their own individual growth, I think it's okay to bring them back. Michelle was kind of a case-by-case basis like you are. And I think Elvis and I were kind of more like, well, it's more about loyalty. But I do agree with like what you're saying. Like, if it's for their own personal growth, it improves them, makes them more valuable to the company, let them. So it's kind of, I kind of think it's important. I think it's important for the employee to grow too, not just stagnate. I mean, stagnation just gets stinky. I was just seeing it, I've had some bad food that I found in my old camping bag. It's just like it's horrible. It doesn't. It stinks bad. So, Elvis, you got any more comments you want to make real quick? I think we're about done here. So
Yeah, I agree with Bob. Sometimes I was very hard on the guy talking about loyalty, but I think we should consider other factors like you as well pointed out. Sometimes there's more to the decisions people make than we often assume. So I think it's important we consider the factors we just mentioned. But I would still stick to loyalty. I think that employees ought to be loyal to whatever company they are working for, because if they aren't loyal, people are leaving because they, they receive better offers from other companies. Chances are that when they come back to the company too, then they get a better offer elsewhere, there's a 100% chance of them leaving again. So that's the reason why I initially said I would really consider not letting them back in. Once they are gone, I'll look for somebody else who can do the job and stay loyal to me. But I think it's important we consider these other factors too.
okay, go ahead, Michelle.
No, sorry, I was yawning. It was a short
Sorry.
night last night.
Yeah. Elvis, you're making her yawn. Come on, man.
I'm sorry.
That's funny.
It was a really short night last night trying to get stuff ready for our additional Relief Society meeting this morning, and then we had it this morning, so it's nap time now.
It's good. Hey, there's a lot to think about. Elvis, if you could get this link up, I'm going to go ahead and conclude this, I guess.
All
So
right,
do
so
we know?
I'll send the link.
Wait, I have a question. So do we know who they ended up hiring or what they ended up doing?
They didn't put that in there with the group thing.
I really don't like it when they don't give us the results after the fact.
Yeah.
It bugs me. I was glad that it told us last week to actually go and look and see what had happened or how they had handled the Army crew case.
Yeah. I'm looking at the little thing here. It says ability. I think we did that with everything we discussed was really about this portability. What we can did that. So I think it's been really good. There's a lot to think about. I mean, this, even on this, bringing Peter back kind of thing. I know guys that he's like, you leave the company, you never come back. It doesn't matter, and it goes back to that loyalty thing that Elvis talking. But then you started with Bob and Michelle. It's like case by case. What do you do? It's kind of my view is, for personal growth, if it's something that they need to go do to grow personally as an individual, I'm okay with it. But then I'll let them come back. They figure out that didn't work. But that's just something. But I used to be more like Elvis, so too. It's like, man, you left my company. It's like, you're not coming back ever, kind of thing. And so a lot to think about, actually, though, with that. So, is any other comments, Bob? I know you missed kind of this. I would suggest, though, Elvis, if you could please, anybody else that missed it, it's worth going over. So.
Yeah, I mean, in real life and in business, it's a lot of times it's gut and intuition when it comes right down to it. And the chemistry and how you set up is really going to perform. So that's why when I, sit in this group discussion, I might have floated a recommendation based on maybe some assumptions that maybe she was doing better than maybe she's doing better than she is, or maybe she's not doing better. But I certainly think that, if you give someone an opportunity to shine and you exercise trust, now they're going to work 5 times as hard because someone gave them trust to do the right thing. And sometimes I feel that, those scenarios are a better gamble than taking someone that's been coasting along for 15 years with a company or 10 years with a company Now they just want to make a change.
Yeah.
So now, we're bringing some fire into the, into the deal. Some good fire, good motivation.
That's true. That's true, Bob. Can I interject a comment here? Do you guys know Huntsman Jr.? Huntsman Jr. J.R. Huntsman, the chemical egg in Utah?
Yeah.
Like, he used to own the Jazz. I think they still own the Jazz basketball team. I went to a seminar once. They're kind of a group thing, and he talked about this is Huntsman Jr. This wasn't the old man, but the younger one. And I asked him a question point blank. He's like, "Hey, is there any questions for me?" He's talking about hiring employees and doing things. And so I raised my hand. I asked a question. I asked him, I remember how I said it. I said, "How do you find an employee that will not jack up your business?" That's how I worded it. I was like, "How do you find somebody that's not going to steal from you, who's not just going to outburn you, anything like that?" And he said, this is his advice. He said, "There's no possible way of doing that." He said, they do a hiring process. It's very strict, and they actually check the resumes. They'll go do background checks, and whatever's on the resume, they'll verify. And even after we've done all that and we've hired a candidate, they end up letting go about 35%.
Wow.
You got to look about 35. That's just a statistic that he gave out, about 35% release rate. Even after all their interviews and everything, so they'll still send them out because they're starting to embezzle. They're doing things. I mean, it's just, you just don't know, until you hire them and see what goes on, I thought that'd be, there's a 35% chance, even if you do all your homework, that an employee's going to have to be let go, from that. So.
Yeah, and there's a CEO of another company that I'm familiar with, and it's really disappointing in a way, but I've heard him make statements, "We don't hire retreads." And it was really disappointing for me to hear, that type of statement from that level of leadership, because it suggests that they don't have, or they don't assume any responsibility for the departure or what the circumstances may have been for separation. They just have a fundamental unwritten policy that they don't hire people that have left for whatever reason, regardless of the fault. And I would hope that people and leaders could be a little bit more open-minded and consider the circumstances and consider what a person may have learned in a period of time and what's changed and what the opportunity is now that maybe is different now than what it was then. And because we are losing our, what do we have, a declination in births? So we're having fewer and fewer births. We're going to be having a challenge as we continue to move forward. We're going to need more supply of labor. We've got to be more open-minded about candidates and inclusion and diversity, and all those things play into it, that we have to consider everybody that's out there and what they bring to the table, and not just be closed-minded.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, hey, great discussion, you guys. Bob, glad you made it. Glad we got started late, actually, for that reason. Elvis, how you doing? Doing pretty good?
Yep.
Oh, good, Bill. I think next week is, I don't know who's the group lead on that. Thanks for getting this posted, though, and recorded. And Michelle, I do appreciate all your comments and things.
I think, Bob, aren't you the leader next week? Yes.
Yay, Bob. Yay.
When do we want to meet? Do we, I'm not able to do it next Saturday. I already have plans. So are we okay with going back?
We did it this time just for Elvis.
Yeah.
For Elvis this time, Elvis, are you okay going back to Tuesday? I mean,
I don't mind.
Thursday.
Like Thursday.
It's Thursday. Okay,
Yeah.
what time do you get up? Like at 2:00 in the morning or something like that?
So the last time we did was 2 o'clock in the morning my time. So I don't mind waking up. I mean, I do
Yeah.
it for most other classes almost every day of the week. I'm taking 15 credits, and most of those other classes require me waking up. Sometimes 2, sometimes 3. So I'm used to it.
That's normally when I go to bed. I go to sleep at 2:00.
So usually I
That's
like to
awesome.
sleep at, stay awake till then, and only sleep after the class has ended.
Okay, sounds good. Well, Bob, you got it next week, and we'll see you guys then.
So,
So,
real
I'm
quick,
sorry, when did we decide? Are we
Thursday,
doing
What time?
Thursday?
Yeah, Thursday again.
7
Thursday.
Mountain Time. 7 o'clock Mountain.
Yeah, it works for me. You doing, man? But it's fine. I wouldn't mind if it was later. Actually, if we could meet at like 9 o'clock.
I'm good with it.
Problem with 9 o'clock is then that makes it 11 for me and what, 4 o'clock for Elvis?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've got work and kids and things, huh? Yeah, we could just go 7. It's just I got my martial arts school class I like to go to at Thursday nights, but I could go on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. So it doesn't matter. Yeah. Hey now. My wife says I have a double chin. I gotta get rid of it.
Well, so do I, see?
Yes. Oh, that's all right. All right. Well,
Okay.
So Thursday, 7.
So Thursday 7. All right, guys.
Okay, that sounds
Have a good weekend.
Thank
Alright,
you.
so,
you.
Travis, I'm going to send you the link so you can post it to the discussion, but
All right. You want me to do that? Okay.
you're the leader for the week. So,
Yeah. Send it to me and I'll submit it.
all
Thanks,
right.
Elvis. Appreciate it,
Okay,
guys.
Thanks, everyone. See you next
All
week.
right.
Bye.
See you
Bye.
later.
Bye. See you next week.